Okay, no, we're live. Technology, I swear, maybe Instagram's like monitoring my posts, uh, and wouldn't let me go live. I spent the last 5 minutes trying to go live, and I'm thinking it was because I made that post. Hey, Abby, made that post yesterday, or the other day about how I don't like Instagram. So I think I'm like getting put in Instagram purgatory or something. Okay. Waiting for her to pop in. So sorry, a little bit late. I hate being late. I'm like a total on time prompt person. And so the fact that I've spent the last like 5.5 minutes trying to tap into stupid live is like, it's okay. It's all good. Okay. It says waiting for Abby. But while you guys
Okay,
are
Liz,
waiting
I
for
don't know
her
if
to
you can hear
join,
me, but it's just spinning.
we're going to
So
just sit down and
you
get
might be getting a really good
real and
angle of me
honest
right
about
now.
what the heck it's actually like when you're running a business, a marketing business specifically, and you have young kids. And for me, let's see, I'm going to try getting Abby in here again. Um, I have two young kids, one's 3 and one is going to be a year old next month. So life is a little crazy. Abby, if you're watching, I'm going to cancel this and try to get you in. I'll invite you. Let's see if I can do a room with Abby. Da, da, da. I tell you what, technology today. Okay, so I just tried to invite her again. Meanwhile, I'd love to know if you're tuning in, if you have kids, if so, how many, if you're planning on having kids soon, if you are a dog mom, like more power to you. Let me know where you're at. Hey,
There we go.
I was just saying, I swear that like Instagram's monitoring my posts after last week when I'm like, I don't like Instagram.
Oh,
And they're like, we'll show you. You need us.
no. Hey, Alma. I know I requested to join and it just kept spinning and spinning, and I was like, ah.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know what happened, but I'm glad we're here now. I'm glad we're finally finally on after some tech hiccups. It's all good. Can you hear me okay? I've got my AirPods in, but I don't know if they're actually connected. We'll see. Let me check. What was that?
Okay, it might be a little bit of a delay, but you go ahead and I think we should be okay.
Okay. Well, so I was saying that we are just going to break down what it's actually like to run a business in the marketing world where things are constantly changing and going, and especially when it comes to digital marketing and social media trends and website optimization and all the things, and trying to balance the client work and raising littles and what that actually looks like in this season of life. And also, the COVID season, which is now no longer like an excuse, I feel like, because it's been our reality for a year. So I'm so excited you are joining. So I'd love, Abby, if you would just quickly introduce yourself, and then I can say a little bit about me for those who don't know me too.
Okay, awesome. I'm so excited. Liz, I don't think we've done one of these yet, and I just adore
Mm-hmm.
you so
Aw.
much. So this is going to be fun. So I'm Abby Harriman, and I have a cold, so I sound a little bit like a dude right now. I have to apologize. But it's getting better, nothing major. So I am a branding and marketing expert. And so, kind of under the Harriman Co. umbrella, I do one-on-one business coaching, group coaching programs. I have my branding accelerator in the fall. Right now, I'm running a group where we're trying to make social media fun again and hold each
Mm.
other accountable, because I feel like, kind of like you were just saying with Instagram, I just kind of want to stop that highlight reel life and, like, let's have fun again. So I do that. And then I'm also co-founder of Align Retreat, where we have our signature retreat for the passionately driven woman who, in person, we talk about business and branding and marketing and all those things. But then we also have our retreat planning services. So I kind of get my creative outlet going in all those different areas. But yeah, just really excited to be here today to talk about marketing and motherhood. I have 3 daughters. My oldest is going to be 8 next month. I can't believe that. That is so crazy how fast it happens. My middle one, Delaney, she is 5.5. If I don't say the half, she definitely lets me know right away. Um, and then my youngest, Letty, she's going to be 3 next month, and she is the one that is home with me, and she's supposed to be my assistant, but she makes more messes than she does, get work done. And so that's what has made it interesting my first year and a half as an entrepreneur. So I'm sure we'll get into that, but I'm just so excited to be here because I feel like our brands align and you have such a beautiful community. So it's going
Aw,
to be
thanks.
fun.
Yeah, well, I'm so excited. I know. I feel like we've kind of done this dance where we've like danced in the same groups but never together. So this is nice to like sit down face
Yeah.
to face as much as we can. I know we're both from the Midwest, so I like firmly believe there's just something that knits people together in this region. And yeah, quick intro for me. I have spent the last 10 plus years in corporate. So I actually just left my job this earlier this month, which is a big whole story in itself. So if you are curious to hear it, like I'd love to just grab coffee and chat about it. But I've spent the last 10 years doing video production, marketing, branding, web design, pretty much anything in the creative direction realm has been a hat that I've worn at some point in time. And I'd love to say fearlessly journeyed into the online space I guess fearlessly, I was 37 weeks pregnant when I launched my digital course, and that has since evolved in the past year to now still partnering on the video and design agency side of things for large and small businesses and entrepreneurs that want like the done for you branding, the brand videos, the web design, or on the opposite side, which is really more of that consulting, coaching, mentorship aspect of partnering with other primarily female creative service providers who are like, you know what? Marketing myself is really hard. I don't know what to say, where to say it. Showing up on video is something I know I need to do. Sending emails, something I know I need to do, but what's actually the how behind it? So really showing up in the messy middle of things. Like I'm definitely not your high rise, super fancy business marketer, but more of that storytelling mom. So I have 2 kids. Nora she's 3, almost 3.5, and Isaac will be 1 in 2 weeks. So it's been interesting to watch, like, as I launched my online business, has grown as he's grown. So it's this really cool, like tangible visual of the growth that's happened. So I'm just excited to dive into this conversation because one of the things I feel so passionate about is that you can be both a very present mom or parent and a badass business owner. And with entrepreneurship comes more responsibility, both on the financial side, the time side. So how the heck do you actually use it to serve your clients well, serve your family well? And I definitely don't walk that perfectly, but I would love to just kind of dive into that with you, Abby.
Yeah. I would say too, I don't do it perfectly either. But one thing in this season that I know a lot of us say this phrase, but I've been really trying to actually do this is give myself that grace and that understanding that like not everything is going to be perfect in motherhood and business and even just little daily things like a couple days ago Matt sent me a message and he's like, hey, remember you have parent pickup today, and I'm like, and I think it's so important since we wear so many hats in business and motherhood that when little things like that we can't go down that rabbit hole then of thinking, oh my goodness, I forgot I had pickup and then I don't have a perfect dinner prepared. And then you just kind of spiral like, I'm not a good mom or I'm whatever. And so just really like truly honoring, giving yourself that grace instead of just saying, oh, I'm giving myself some grace. And then you go to bed feeling like crap, I didn't read 10 books or I didn't do this, because there is no perfect balance, I feel like. And it's a season that you just have to embrace and learn as you go. And I could keep going, but yeah.
Yeah, I think, and for those listening too, like feel free to pop in any questions that you
Yeah.
have about marketing. We're going to kind of cover it got my talk about boundaries. I just got my like, you've been on Instagram for 2 hours today notification. That always happens to me when I go live. Oh, how embarrassing. That's okay. Talk about boundaries, right? But feel free to pop in the chat. Like if you have kids, if you have
Yeah.
kids at home, like what ages are they? What struggles do you have marketing yourself, your business? Like drop it all in there and we'll hit on it. But I think one thing that I am constantly doing like a self-check and with my clients is like redefining your level of success. And that sounds very tagliney, but in this season, I have two little kids. I've now just left my 9 to 5, but I've been working in a 9 to 5. My success markers and my trajectory and my growth are going to look entirely different than somebody who's left their job, is single, or doesn't have kids. And, both seasons are equally beautiful and different, and they all have their own challenges, but I think it's easy to get swept up into the like, oh my gosh, I didn't have a 40, 50K launch that these people are touting. But then when you look at the lifestyle, it's that comparisonitis. So, okay, we got some comments rolling in. A 3-year-old, a 1.5-year-old, currently trying to figure out what feels good. Yeah, I'm with you because I'm in almost close behind you on those age gaps.
Yeah. Amanda, she was a stay-at-home mom for a couple years and is getting back into the swing of it. And oh man, she's like running fearlessly ahead. But I love that you said, Amanda, you're figuring out what feels good. I
Mm-hmm.
think it's important to touch on that, like what Liz was just saying, that my level of success might look different than somebody else's. And one of the things that hit me the other day was, when I really knew that I needed to build my own thing and leave my 9 to 5 was after one of the times I brought the girls to dance and we were pulling up and we were like 5-10 minutes late. And it was because one of my corporate meetings at my 9 to 5 went long.
Mm-hmm.
And I remember having this moment of like, Harper had said, Mom, why are we always the kids that are late? And I'm like, like, okay, I got you here. I went to my 9 to 5 an hour earlier because I wanted to take you myself tonight. I didn't want anyone else to take you. But it was one of those moments. And so now that I can actually like be on time for dance unless something crazy happens, those are kind of how I level, or I gauge my success. Is, am I making those little moments throughout the day that really leave a big impact in my family? And so it's things like that that just make me feel like, okay, I'm on the right path, even on the days where it gets really hard.
Yeah, it's like, you're successful when, and then fill in the blank, when you get to take your kids to dance, when you can put your phone down at dinner time, when you aren't, when you're reading before bed or talking with your spouse, or like taking time to just reflect. Alma says she's a 4 and 6-year-old. She's trying to figure out how to balance your creative flow and mental health. Yeah, boundaries. So this week I can actually kind of hit on this a little bit, because this week is launch week for me. And so let's like break down what the heck does launch actually mean in marketing,
Yeah.
because it's wildly different. I am launching my second program. So I have this program called the Attraction Marketing Accelerator. It's an intimate group marketing program. And my launch to me means like this is the last big push that I've set up, where they have until May 10th so they can apply and join the cohort. So that for me, I have this launch window. It's something I talk about all the time. It's not the first time I've run it. So the launch window for me usually means like I've prepped all my marketing content ahead of time. But during launch week, which I'm doing 2 weeks of launch, I'm trying to show up, do things like Instagram Live, show up on stories. I'm trying to be active in the DMs. I'm doing things like monitoring my emails and making maybe some tweaks based on my open rates and click rates. So launching is very much like you have your plan ahead of time, but then you're constantly iterating and tweaking throughout it, at least from a marketing perspective. So that takes, you have to come in with like strong mindset, energy, there's endurance. And then I got to sprinkle in my 3-year-old and my 11-month-old home because of COVID exposure. So like my plans that I have mapped out for months of like, this is my launch weeks, now look different. And I think the tendency could instantly be like, this is so frustrating. This is not what I planned. This is like this and this and this and that. And then, but if I take a step back and say, well, like you said, Abby, if I can flip it and say like, I now have the ability to call the shots. I have the ability to say like this moment is more important and like trust that the outcome will be what it's meant to be.
Yep.
And I love that, which takes, takes practice. It takes support from people in your corner. And it also does take solid marketing to know that it's not just what you did during that launch window, but it's what you've done months, years leading up to that. So I'd love to kind of like hit on that creative flow. And when, as a marketer, our attention oftentimes can be not interrupted. I don't want to say our kids are interruptions, but you know what I mean? Like we're shifting from like creative marketing mode to mom mode.
Yes. So one thing we were kind of talking about last week, and Amanda joined me, is, I'm trying to get really intentional about, let's say I pick like 1 or 2 days out of the week where I have fewer client calls and I can kind of batch out some work. And I feel like, because you get in kind of that creative flow.
Mm-hmm.
And, if it's, hey, mom, can you take Letty for a few hours? Or, okay, we're going to work this around nap time just so I feel like, after having 3 kids, I needed a little more quiet than I did before to be able to really like pump out the content and get my message across. But I feel like I'm a more present parent and less, anxious or stressed around them when I know that I have prepared, all my stuff in business ahead of
Mm-hmm.
time. So that way, when I'm showing up on stories, or doing the other little things, I'm not feeling as rushed, and then I'm putting my best self out there. So that's one of the things that I found that's helped me. I mean, I'd love to, even get months in advance of content pumped out, but it'll come. But that's one of the things that has definitely helped me. And I know you're so good about doing that too.
Yeah, I think, I've had this conversation with people recently about like things I hear in the online business spaces. Consistency, be consistent, show up. Absolutely, yes, 100%. If you and I work together, I will be on your case if I don't see you showing up for yourself in the platform that you feel is right for you. But you can be consistent, but if you have, let's be real, crappy marketing messaging, then your consistency is digging you in a deeper hole than actually building you an empire or like a nice sandcastle. So I would love to hear, like, and maybe we can talk about some tangible things people can be doing now to take an extra eagle eye to their content that they're spending time on. So if you are a parent, or even if you're not, and you're setting aside like 2 hours a week for content creation, what are some things I'd love to like walk you through, things that you can start with, or like maybe do a second pass on your content with more of that marketing eye, knowing that your time is precious and you don't have like forever and ever to iterate on things. So I don't know. Let's be thinking about that, Abby. Does anything come to mind, or I can jump in too?
Um, I'll maybe let you jump in, but one thing too is I don't want to lose it, mom brain.
Yeah.
um, but obviously, when you're thinking about the content that you're creating, and also making sure that you repurpose it, so
Mm,
that way you don't spend more time creating content, or trying to like tweak it for all the different platforms. So I'll let you start with that, and then I just wanted to make sure I didn't lose that thought.
yeah, totally. Content repurposing is major. So I think what I always advise is kind of on the realm of content repurposing, but starting with a masterpiece of content. So always start with the outcome of the action that you want your audience to take, or the feeling that you want them to have. And those are kind of synonymous sometimes. So by starting with the like, who is this message individually for? How should it make them feel? And what do I want them to do? Then you go back and you can add in like your educational content. Maybe it's perspective shifting. Maybe it is that you're in a launch and you really want people to like sign up for a dia or a consult, or maybe it's you're promoting a lead magnet. But when you can start with like the outcome. So for instance, I think like fitness is just an easy example, because as moms we're like, yeah, we know all about all about that. But if the outcome is like start drinking more water today, right? That's the action you want them to take, and the feeling that they'll have is more energized, right? Or maybe they'll feel more glowing. You can start with that in mind, but you can maybe tell a story of a time that you uh, noticed the cups of coffee were pouring around you, building up around you, or the number, whatever it is. Like, tell a story of how, like, you noticed you were on your third cup of coffee and you hadn't even drank a thing of water. So now you've put in, then give your audience a quick win. You've put a system in place. Maybe it's like you bought one of those giant water bottles that has like the motivational sayings on the side, like maybe that's like their action item so that they feel better. So I don't know, I'm not being very clear with that example, but if you start with the outcome, think about the feeling they want them to have, give them that quick win in your post, that's going to be stronger copy and stronger marketing copy, because eventually maybe it's not like, oh, sign up for fitness coaching or nutritional coaching, but it gets them to start implementing some things where they start feeling better and they tie that result to you.
Yes.
Or did I totally like mom brain on that everywhere?
No, that was good. I think you're really hitting home on adding value, those quick wins, and making sure that you have that call to action. So, I guess we're both in this marketing social media world. So, it might start out with like, oh man, I'm not very quick on my toes right now either, but let's say I want to get the point across that reels are kind of the way to go right now on Instagram. So,
Mm.
Hey, mama, are you sitting there trying to figure out what to post today, but you're so tired because you've been up all night with your kiddos type of thing. I want you to feel like you got this. You don't have to dance in front of the camera. Maybe you want to, but like, just have fun with it. Be yourself, whatever. Try this. Give them that call to action, like try that messy step. I don't know. Does that kind of work?
Yeah, no, I definitely think there's that like personalization in the messaging. And if you can start with a hook that really grabs their attention and makes them feel seen and understood or entertained, and like, I love a good laugh out loud moment. I mean, I think like I said, I'm in launch mode for AMA right now, and I, I don't want to say I've spammed my email this week. They've gotten one email from me, but it's things of like, um, stories with a blowout on the airplane after like we strapped in, and I've had my daughter in one of those body wraps, which, like, can you imagine? So, and how they do relate to business. But that one, I think, for instance, was like, basically we got on the airplane, they said, hey, we're not turning off the seatbelt sign. And right after that, my daughter had this blowout, and they're like, oh, great. For the next 45 minutes, I was sitting there covered in, it was, it was not good. And I was just thinking, like, oh my gosh, I just want to become invisible in this very moment. And how that is like the exact opposite of how it is in marketing. You're always trying to show up. You're always trying to get in front of your ideal client. You're trying to nab people's attention. And so, even that little anecdote of like, oh my gosh, this moment happened to me. Other parents, not saying parents are necessarily your ideal client, but tell a story that your ideal audience would align with and would identify with and go, oh my gosh, that's happened to me, or I can relate, or something. And then if you can bridge that anecdote, that personalization, bridge it to what you want them to learn or do, that's going to be so, so powerful.
Yeah, I actually kind of had one this weekend. So we've been talking about email subject lines a lot,
Oh,
and
yeah.
how, obviously you want your email to be fun and engaging, and you don't want it to feel like the one that you get from, major brands every single day selling you something. And so we've been thinking about subject lines, and so this weekend, Haley and we were up north planning for the retreat, and we were sitting there at the kitchen counter, and we heard someone try to break into the cabin,
Oh my gosh.
our VRBO, and come to find out it was probably the wind and the doorknob and whatever. But it was a very scary moment. And so we're both like, oh my gosh, what do we do? And so of course I'm thinking, okay, this is going to be my story for an email. Like, how can I tie in this real life experience
Mm-hmm.
into business? And so, I woke up the next morning, and after we were fine and, whatever, it was a couple-hour ordeal. I was just like, I feel like I need to like update my will or make sure that my systems are in place, because
Mm.
there are still things in my business that only I can do, and I'm like, I don't want that, like, God forbid, And so it turned into kind of this like email, like, okay, a simple gust of wind came through and we thought somebody was breaking into the cabin, and I woke up realizing I needed to get a couple more things in order. So
Mm-hmm.
like, do you need help with this? So again, kind of tying in that story and being relatable.
Yeah,
Like,
totally. And I think too, like to kind of piggyback on even that analogy is if somebody's trying to break into your house, you absolutely freaked out, you lock down everything else, you make sure you're all good, you make sure you have a backup plan. I mean, this is the problem with people building their businesses just on Instagram, right? If you get hacked, if there's some sort of breach, you lose your account. That's why you need to have email set up. That's why you should have an omnipresence approach on like other either social media, or you need to make sure you have a website or a way for people to find out what you do if your service is for them. So, we work through that type of stuff in AMA, but that's a perfect example too of like little moments that can happen. So I always say keep a note in your phone with funny things that happen, little moments, or even moments in motherhood where you are just feeling like total flop. This is not going how I wanted, because that moment that you're in, whether it's in motherhood or in business, is more than likely somebody else has already been in it or they will be in it. So how can you help them kind of navigate those murky waters to come out the other end of it?
yes, yes, I might have even heard that from you. I don't know who I heard that from, but to keep those little notes in your phone, I go
Yeah.
back all the time to come up with content or emails or, um, yeah, that's such a great tip. I love that.
Oh yeah, I mean ridiculous things. Like a couple months ago, I was making cookie dough, and my husband swiped a spoonful out of the KitchenAid, which of course like happens every time. But I made some sort of snarky remark of like, you might get sick and die, and he's like, it's totally worth it. I like to live on the edge, and that inspired an email that I'm sending out later this week of like, hey, there's definitely risk eating raw cookie dough. Same thing with there's risk in making investments in your business, and while cookie don't won't like get you more money or your stuff in front of your ideal client, yada yada yada. But that's just a for instance of like ways that you can infuse more personality into your marketing. And
Yes.
then I love that you do this. You embrace like current circumstance so well. And some brands set themselves up to be very, very poised and polished. And I think you can absolutely be a premium brand and not be perfectly polished and poised all the time. So I love how you embrace like you have your littles with you and you show up exactly as you are, and your feed is like a mix of curated and just real moments. So for you, what helped you come to that point of knowing like you could show up that way and attract the right your people?
Yeah. Um, Couple different things. I will never forget, I shared a post about, and it wasn't a perfect picture, like it wasn't a polished, professional photo. And I talked about, struggling with like anxiety and things like
Mm,
that after kids. And I could not believe the number of messages that I received that people are like, I would have never guessed that with you, and, all that kind of stuff. And it really got me to thinking, like, I don't want anyone to ever feel like I'm not on the same level as you, like
yeah.
we all have we all have something, right? We all have something going on behind the scenes. And if we're not a mom, we, you know, might want to become a mom, and there might be struggles around that, or we, have things in our 9 to 5 or whatever. And so that was one of the moments that hit me, that like, you know, I love that I was being relatable, but I wanted to be more, I wanted to be more open with all of those
Hmm.
experiences. Um, and the second part is kind of to why I created this group a week ago, to make social media fun again, is because
Yeah.
I found out that I was not having fun anymore, trying to, plan everything out perfectly and have perfect images. And obviously, then I was just wasting time because I was, worrying about photos again, or, those kind of things. And I was like, I just need to get back to having fun. After all, like social media, yes, it grows my business and my community, but I'm such a big like networking connector type person, and it
Hmm.
is a platform to be social, to meet other people. And so I'm like, I when I hop on and I want to meet new people, I want to see I want to see the real Liz. I want to see the real, and so it just hit me that I'm like, we've got to stop this highlight reel. I want to have fun. And I noticed a shift, like there were more people maybe signing up for a service or joining this or that after I was just truly being myself. And,
Yeah.
um, even like when it came to this morning, recording those stories to say I was coming on here live with you, Letty was like, I want to get my car outside because I'm going to, play whatever. And she was just bugging me left and right. And I could have easily tried to record it 10 times or keep her inside the house or try to make it perfect with, all the things. And I was like, no, like this is real life. There are other women in my shoes trying to
Mm-hmm.
run a business. And so I'm not going to hit that record button more than once because that's time, and time is money,
Yeah. Yeah.
So kind of just this like overlay of like, we've got to stop the highlight reel. And I love how you touch on this too about in business. There are so many people, I feel like, you see left, I shouldn't say so many people, but when you're on social media, you
Yeah.
feel, you look left and right and everyone's like, oh, $50,000 launch and, 10K months all the time and all this and all that. And it's like, yeah, those are nice things, but back to like the success marker and stuff like that. I feel like, more of me is what.
Oh, you're back. Yeah.
um, my personal brand though is like what people want to see because it's relatable. And so as soon as I kind of let that feeling of everything needing to be perfect, go away, I felt like my real, my voice was coming out, and it's just so much more
Mm.
fun that way.
Yeah, I love that you said that because I can't remember if it was the end of last year for sure, but then I really caught myself again going into this year. At the end of last year, I did this post and it was like, hey, guess what? I did not make six figures this year. And I broke down, like, I did things way cooler. I was present for these moments. I saw these transformations with my clients. Like, I brought a baby into the world at the start of the pandemic. Like, all these things that I needed in that moment to just like reclaim for myself as things that were so important and were also the reason why I started this business. And then going into this year, I noticed again this creep up of like, when you watch people and you notice that like, oh, it's kind of like this osmosis process where like your brand can get a little bit like absorbed by them. And then you start doing those things, offering programs that are like people you admire or talking about those things, or even your goals. Like my goals in my head, it was like, oh, six figures is like, you've made it, you've made it, you made it. But then I just had this moment of like, holy stop. Like, no, this is money. Great. Like I do plan to have a multiple six-figure business. That is in the dreams and in the cards for me, and I'm going to make it happen. But it is not going to be on the backs of anybody else, and it is going to be done my damn way. Like it's going to be done being, true to myself and like being open to other people and being approachable and also being accountable to the promises that I make. Like
Yeah.
in this coaching space, even in the online space, like you said, it's easy to flash those numbers, but let's be transparent about it. Let's talk, if we're going to talk numbers, say like, was it a 50K launch paid out over 10 months with 5 people in it? Or did you have 50K cash month? Like, awesome, good for you. But also give people the tools to like, not that money is the only goal here, but let's teach you a little bit on how you can do things like that rather than just being like, oh yeah, I made a 50K launch. That's my credibility marker. Sign up for this 12K program,
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, I love this, Liz.
Sorry, I just like brought some fire.
You did. It's so crazy that you say that because, I think both of our accelerators are a higher ticket program,
Mm-hmm.
right? Like mine will be back on in the fall, and it's a very high touch program. And it's like for that woman who is serious about getting to that six figure mark and all the things. But, even this spring, like last this coming month, I'm doing something that's $97. Like,
Mm-hmm.
and it's lighting me up, And so, I think, like you touched on, like, it's okay to have those months, but also like, don't forget to do the things that really bring you joy at the same
Yeah.
time, and meet your community where they're at, because, we all start somewhere. And so, I love that you said that.
Yeah, I think it's just more of like really honing in on the things that I care about, and I'm trying to say it out loud, for other people as much as for myself, because it's so easy to, like I said, fall into that trap, and to also become unoriginal. It's easy to just kind of like market on autopilot. And again, going back to what I said earlier, go take like a fine-tooth comb to your marketing message. Like, make sure, is your personality evident? Are your convictions evident? Are you doing it to help? Are you doing it to add value? Are you doing it to move the needle in your business? And if not, then don't post, don't send the email, don't show up on the video. Um, because ultimately you might attract people, but are they your people?
Right. Right. Oh, you just said something and I've lost it. It'll come back to me.
That's okay. We can touch on content repurposing a little bit too. I know
Yeah.
we wanted to hit on that earlier. And I think I started saying something about create that masterpiece of content and then break it down, but I didn't go into it. I do want to say repurposing is not just like copy paste. You can be content and spread it out over a month on a few different places. Um, but I'd love to hear your thoughts on this, Abby.
Yeah, so I definitely could do better here, and that's one of my goals I'm going to try to do this summer. Um, but I really want to make sure that I'm utilizing Pinterest because,
Mm,
obviously it's just this awesome search engine. And I feel like, sometimes Instagram, which obviously they might be listening, but like they get too much of my love. And, sometimes I forget, oh man, like this would be great over there, on Pinterest.
hmm.
Or, let's say that you have a post that really connects with your community on Instagram. Hop into a clubhouse room and talk about it, like you and I could do
Yeah.
that with the conversation today. I mean, how many
Hmm.
moms and how many other people are in marketing? At the end of the day, it's how you deliver your message, and what, your story and your experiences that you bring behind it. But, yeah, like I really need to be better about taking my pieces from Instagram and bringing them to Pinterest, bringing them to Clubhouse, obviously Facebook, or if you have a group. Another thing too is I like really overserve in my DMs. So I'm constantly almost like coaching in my DMs,
Yeah.
and um, things that are probably just come second nature to me with branding or to do in Canva, with social media and stuff like that. I'll quick send a message and be like, hey, yeah, this is how you do this with highlights, or this is how I mean, just whatever it might be.
Yeah.
But I need to remember, I could screenshot that, or I could drop that in Canva and put it on Instagram and then use it in a highlight. And then I could have, like a visual, way to add value on Pinterest. And so those are some ways that, I'm looking for someone to help me, but, just to kind of like make sure that that information and value that I bring to Instagram or one platform is shared across other platforms. And like you
Hmm.
said, you know, I know my audience on Instagram is a little bit different than my audience on Facebook. So what part of my messaging do I need to tweak? Like you said, it's not just a simple copy and paste. It might be a little bit of a tweak to your message, but that comes with knowing your community and understanding your ideal client and that kind of thing.
Hmm. Yeah. So I'd love to maybe take a few questions from people. If you guys have been listening in, you have questions
Yeah.
on marketing strategy, or if you have value that you want to add about motherhood or marketing, like we'd love for this to be back and forth. And then before we end this, Abby, I'd love for people to know like ways they can work with you, and obviously slide into either one of our DMs. I know we're both like real people that are trying to show up as we are and help. So if you guys are tuning in, we'd love to know like what maybe you're struggling with right now when it comes to marketing, or maybe a parenting moment that either had you laughing out loud or like pulling out your hair. And have some camaraderie in that together. So we'll give people a second. I don't know if you have any moments like that lately. It sounds like maybe this morning with your daughter.
Oh my goodness. Yeah, she was just like, it was cute. Last night all three of them drew like a little town on the driveway,
Oh,
the sidewalk chalk. And so they brought out like one of their like American Girl cars, and they were like driving it down the roads and stuff. And of course, when the big sisters are gone, she has, free will to all of their toys too. So she's like, I'm bringing it all out. Like, we are doing this. And I'm like, okay, well, you'll keep busy and I'll be able to work outside. So again, one of those things that, we work hard, but I get to sit outside and play with my kids while I work. So, that makes the moments where they struggle a little bit easier. I'm just trying to see if we had any questions come in.
I don't see anything pop up, but yeah, I think for me yesterday I had just, one of those micro moments. I was on a call and was downstairs and we were at my mom's, went upstairs, and as I walked upstairs, my son Isaac saw me, and he's not walking yet, but he saw me and he just got this huge big smile on his face and went crawling at, lightning speed for an 11-month-old. And that was one of those moments where like middle of the day, I would not have had that experience had I been in corporate. And, while that's like a motherhood moment, that's also in some way a moment that other people crave, whether that like joy is spending time in nature or working on a design project that they love, or they've landed like a dream client. So those moments are things that we make possible through having solid marketing in our business and driving consistent revenue and leads, and not just leads, but like quality leads that align with your business. So I like to be able to bottle up those little moments and remember, like, this is exactly why I'm doing what I'm doing.
Yeah. And, just remembering that, like, not every day is going to be an easy one.
Mm-hmm.
And obviously, we've both had failed launches or,
Yeah.
like things like that. But the more messy action we take and the more we serve and, learn, it's so worth it. It's so
Yeah.
worth
And that exactly the failure pieces, or the things that didn't go as planned, or the learning lessons, those don't make you any less credible. If anything, it makes you more credible because you've tried more things and you've learned from them, rather than like trying something once and it worked and so you just repeat that process. But being able to walk through different seasons, I mean, for me, coming from corporate and then working more in agency side of things, and then kind of journeying out into mentorship, I've walked that creative marketing role in many different places, and I've learned a lot in each of them. So yeah, just like with motherhood, it's kind of a trial and error. But I know I've taken up like a considerable amount of your time today, and I'm so
Oh,
excited that we were able to sit down and have this honest conversation. I think, well, I know I would love to have more of those with you and with other female entrepreneurs in this space, or other parents in this space, even for the guys out there that are like killing it in business and also an awesome present dad. So we'll
yeah.
have to do another one of these.
Oh, definitely. Like I said, I love the way that you have showed up too, and just being, honest and transparent with your community and just encouraging them to grow. And so I feel like our brands align, and I love that we could have this conversation today.
Yeah. Well, thank you so much. And before we sign off, you said, are you still doing your challenge, or is that like all done now?
So we wanted to keep the momentum going. And so, $97 for the whole month of May. We are going to do
Oh,
a
awesome.
co-working session each week. We're going to do a clubhouse room to kind of build our brand authority and lead generation through Clubhouse. And then behind the scenes, we're going to go through social media and like marketing trends, and just kind of like hold space for one another to be accountable, and network, and break.
Dang, for only $97. That's amazing. That's
Yeah,
awesome.
it's lighting me
So
up. I'm like, I want to do something that feels good, that can really meet a lot of people where they're at. So
yeah. Totally. So, okay. So if people want to do that challenge, they can get in touch with you, slide into your DMs
Yeah.
if it's still open. That's
Yep.
awesome. Well, I think that's fantastic because yeah, social media is like, if I could quit it, I would. I'm only here out of necessity, but also, like you said in the beginning, it's a good way to connect with community to really kind of have your ear to the ground for what the needs are. And for me, yeah, I think if you're at that stage of business where you're trying to figure out what your messaging is and you've just started out, I have a guide. It's actually, you can DM me and I'll send it to you. It's a video starter guide. It's totally free. So I'll send that. And then if you're a little further along in business and you want that marketing mentorship and support, the applications are open for my marketing program. So click the link in my bio for that, or just shoot me a DM. And I'd rather just like grab coffee or a glass of wine and chat about it. So
You have some pretty amazing women already signed up, right?
yeah, we have four, and so far we'll probably max it out at six. I said at eight, I'm like slamming the doors, bolting them shut like nobody else, because I like to keep it small and intentional and make sure everybody's gets the attention and the service that they need and that they're paying for, because it is a higher ticket program. But I have two tiers within that. I'm doing something different actually. For if you have one more minute,
Oh,
doing
yeah.
something different this time because I ran it again. I ran it before and it was like high touch point across the board and higher ticket across the board. And this time I've done things a little bit differently where I have like a VIP track where you have like the core program, the modules, everything, the calls and content audits and Voxer and one-on-one calls. And then I decided, hey, let me see if I could have like a pared down version that's just the group and the content that's, you know, much more affordable to be able to serve more people in the level that they need. So I'll let you know how it goes.
I like that though, and that goes back to, like serving people where they're at because everyone's
Mm-hmm.
at different levels, but like the content alone inside of there has to be amazing. So
Oh, thank you. I think it's pretty good, but I also, because I'm a video editor, like everything is meticulous.
remember one of your video trainings in BAA. And so
Oh
like right
yeah.
before this, when I couldn't find my ring light, I'm like, oh my God, it's Liz. Where I need my light.
Yeah, get your ring light. Don't come on Instagram if you don't have a ring light. No, just kidding. It's good to show up as you are, well lit or not.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
well, this is awesome, and I love that you're doing that group. I think it's so accessible. It makes it so fun. I might have to check it out myself because social media is like for me right now.
I
I'm
know,
not
right?
supposed to say that as a marketer, but
I love that you've been on here too long. Message popped up right away. Like I need to do that. I need to set some notifications.
yeah. Well, it doesn't say much about me that I was like ignore for the day, but hey.
Awesome.
All right. Well, I will talk to you, I'm sure, in the DMs very soon, and enjoy the rest of your day with your family.
You too. Good luck with everything.
Thank you. Bye, Abby.
All right. Bye bye.